Okay, assuming that probably all of you can hear me and my screen is also visible. First, I'll give you a brief introduction about myself. My name is Prabhu, and I have almost 22 years of experience in IT infrastructure management field. Probably many of you heard about Novel Network. When I started my career, I worked in Novel Network. It is like a grandfather of all server operating systems now. And then moved to Windows domain and then VMware Citrix. And for past more than 8 years, more into cloud. Okay. So, and DevOps. And today we are going to see a demo about Azure DevOps. As you all know, probably many of you may have very good experience in this field. Many of you may know what is DevOps and cloud, but some of you, okay, maybe new to this field or maybe new to this technology also. So in this course, I'll be starting from basics, okay, like very basic level. I'll be starting the old course. We will be seeing everything from basics so that there won't be any confusion or any doubts in your mind. So like this demo also, I'm going to start from the basic. Okay. Okay, so now we all know what is cloud. Okay, and there are many cloud service providers are there. Amazon Web Services, GCP, Azure, many cloud service providers are there. Before getting into Azure DevOps, okay, first you should all know what is cloud, and then I'll give a small introduction to cloud, and then we will move to DevOps also. Okay, we'll be covering both the parts. I'll be giving you like both basic introduction about cloud computing as well as DevOps, so that you'll be have a clear picture when we are getting into Azure DevOps. Okay, so first, what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is nothing but delivering any IT resources. The very important term is any IT resources. Any means literally anything as a service. It could be a server, or it could be a VM, or it could be a service, or it could be an any appliances, ICNT devices. It could be anything. Okay, anything can be delivered as a service through internet. Okay, mostly through internet or even a private like express route or AWS direct is also available. Okay, but as an end user in a public cloud, most of us, okay, as probably as a beginner or the first time learner or first time getting into DevOps or cloud, okay, most of us will be using a common internet connection. Okay, so delivering any IT resources on demand, okay, to you, that is what cloud is going to do. Okay, so what are the advantages of cloud? So why should I go for cloud? And what is exactly cloud computing is all about? The first and foremost thing is, when you think about IT infrastructure, okay, basically you will be considering that as on a hardware, because probably in your data center you will see all kind of hardwares like servers, rack servers, blade servers, okay, and sometimes tabletop servers and routers, gateways, appliances. Okay, mostly everything is a hardware in data center. But when it comes to cloud computing, you have to stop considering the complete hardware, okay, the infrastructure as a hardware. Rather, you have to think it as a software. So, what are the advantages when I'm going to consider my IT infrastructure as a software? Okay, and first thing is the drawback of hardware, considering everything as a hardware, or drawback of data center. Okay, which means the solutions are physical. If anything goes down, okay, probably in a hardware failure, we have to attend it, right? Or probably in a disk failure. End of the day, it's an hardware. It is going to have compute, memory, storage. Okay, if anything goes down, okay, the solutions are physical. Okay, and we have to provide space, and we have to recruit enough staffs and team, which means some team and security planning, and very importantly, there is a capital expenditure. Okay, and all these things needs a proper planning. It requires more time, effort, okay, when you going for a physical data center. But when you consider the same infrastructure as a software, okay, when you're using the same infrastructure from cloud, when it is delivered through cloud, okay, it is flexible. Okay, and changes in software are faster, easier, and of course it is cost effective. Okay, one example I can give. Okay, you are working in a data center, probably you are supporting some kind of client. Okay, e-commerce client. Let us take an e-commerce client as an example, and you created a cluster for them. Okay, I hope you all know what is cluster, a group of servers. Okay, cluster, actually software cluster, many clusters are there, but I'm taking example a hardware cluster, a group of servers. and basic on their capacity planning, the number of traffics, number of users the website they're going to hit. Based on that, you have some calculations, and you design the cluster to accommodate probably your 50 or 100 servers. Okay, but due to some maybe in festive seasons, okay, if more traffic arrives, okay, if more number of users visiting the site, okay, the traffic will be increased. And of course, you have done some capacity planning. So what you can do is, if you want to, if the 100 servers are not capable of handling the traffic, you have to add on more servers into the cluster. But think about this. Do you think without disturbing the cluster, quorum data of the cluster, you can add or reconfigure the cluster in a typical data center? That's not possible, right? Okay. So on the fly, you cannot add. That's what I'm trying to say. In a data center, on the fly, you cannot add. But the same can be done in cloud, whether it's any cloud, GCP or AWS or Azure. Okay, on the fly you can add the servers. Okay, without disturbing the existing infrastructure. That is a feature called as auto scaling. By using that, you can achieve that. Okay, so the changes are flexible. That's what I'm trying to say, and it is faster based on the traffic. The number of servers will be increased automatically based on the metrics what you specify. It will be increased automatically, and when the traffic is getting down, the number of services will be also will be removed. Okay, and one important thing is, you're going to purchase all these resources on demand. Whenever it is required, you're going to purchase. So absolutely, you are avoiding the capital expenditure. Okay, that is a very important advantage in cloud. Assuming that some startup company is asking you to build an infrastructure for them. Okay, so they can avoid a capital expenditure totally when you are suggesting that they can go for cloud. Okay, because they're going to pay only for the usage. It could be a 1 hour, or it could be 1 month, or it could be 12 months, or maybe 1 year, whatever it is. Okay, but they are going to pay exactly for the time what they are utilizing the resources. Okay, and on demand, the delivery, all resources will be delivered, and the same way it can be terminated. Okay, the billing is based purely on utilization, and there are different price plans available in cloud. Okay, but anyway, the modifying the number of adding or removing resources are very simple in cloud, instead of rather than data center. Okay, and these are the primary cloud services. Okay, the cloud services are probably many of you have heard these things: software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. Cloud is capable of providing any software as a service, or it can provide any platform as a service, like web server development tools, databases. Okay, anything they'll provide a platform, so that simply you can use the platform, and you can build your own applications or whatever it is. Okay, and then cloud is also capable of providing infrastructure, pure infrastructure, which means they will provide virtual machine with operating systems. Then the further configuration, whatever installation what you want to do, and you can do it. And cloud is basically a shared responsibility model, which means both cloud and you have responsibility in maintaining the resources. For example, when a VM is delivered, cloud will take care of the hardware part. Okay, they'll make sure that hardware is up and running probably 24 by 7. But when a VM is delivered as a VM itself, okay, you are going to install the applications and softwares. Okay, in those cases, okay, what you have to do is you have to apply the patches and the vulnerability checking, all those things you have to do. Okay, you cannot blame cloud if you are not maintaining the server properly. Okay, so it's a shared responsibility model. That's what I'm trying to say here. And what are the deployment models? I'll be explaining more about in the very first classes, where I'll be starting about more. We'll be discussing more about this. Okay, there I'll be explaining the actual deployment model and actual characteristics of cloud, because there should be someone who maintains the standard for cloud, right? Simply AWS cannot, AWS or Azure or GCP, they cannot create their own standards for any appliances. That is someone who maintains the standards for cloud. That is NIST. Okay, NIST maintains the cloud reference architecture, and who are offering the service in cloud. Okay, even if I'm saying that I'm releasing an app which is capable of working in cloud, then I have to follow NIST reference architecture. So we'll be discussing more about NIST referential architecture in the future classes. Okay. Okay. So basically, there are three type of cloud deployment model. One is public cloud. That is what we are going to work with. AWS, Azure, GCP, all comes under public cloud. And private cloud means where organization is going to have their infrastructure in a private cloud, like IBM cloud. Okay. where other users will not. But public cloud means any user, you, me, anybody can create an account and they can access any resources as they wish. But in private cloud, it is kind of different kind of agreement of me or you. Simply, we cannot go and create an account in IBM Cloud, something like that. Okay, that is what called as private cloud. It is between a cloud provider and certain organizations. Okay, hybrid cloud is a concept of combination of both cloud resources as well as data center resources. Some organizations, what they will do is they will launch their applications and they will launch their databases in cloud. But for security reasons, they prefer to have their authentication system, probably AD, Active Directory, or some appliances, authentication appliances. They want to have it in their own data center, or storage. They want to have backup in the data center. In those scenarios, what you can do is you can establish a connection. It's going to be like a permanent connection between on premises and in cloud. Okay, so that is what called as hybrid cloud. And what are the core services in cloud? Okay, like any cloud service provider. Okay, first thing what you have to be very clear is in cloud, okay, there are n number of services. But when it comes to DevOps as well as a cloud, when you're learning cloud, you have to be strong in three concepts, three important concepts. One is compute, and second one is network, and third one is storage. Okay, these three concepts are very very important in cloud for anyone. Okay, in IMS or in DevOps environment, because these three is required for almost all kind of setup. Okay, so compute, physical machine, even bare metal OS is available in cloud nowadays. Okay, so VM will be delivered for you in compute, which consists of memory, CPU. It is nothing but a system, normal system, server. Okay, so that is what compute, and you have to set the right configuration for your environment, what the compute capacity you need. Based on that, you have to select the size and family types that we'll be seeing in future classes. Okay, and network, you can, even though you are working in a public cloud, okay, Azure is a public cloud, but the thing is you must have your own security, right? Okay, so which means you have an account in Azure, and I too have an account in Azure. Okay, so when you are launching your resources in cloud, Azure cloud, okay, when I'm also launching some resources, there should not be any clash or security threat or vulnerability between your account or my account, or for that matter any accounts. Okay, so assume that some financial organizations is having their resources in cloud. Okay, so they'll be more worried about the security, because it is open to all, anybody can create an account, can enter. Okay, for that matter, okay, you can create your private network in public cloud. That is what called as VNet or VPC in AWS and VNet in Azure. Okay, you can configure that and you can set the boundaries, you can set the firewalls, rules. Okay, everything is defined by you. Okay, so nobody can break the rule. Okay, cloud is as much as secure like data center. Some people may argue cloud may not be secure. No, okay, cloud is completely secure. Okay, and then you also have to learn about storage. Storage, there are different types of storages are there, like blob, S3, or example for internet storage. Okay, and EBS disk, or example for like block storage. Okay, so there are storage, different types of storage available. You must have a clear picture about which storage is for what. Okay, and then database services are available in cloud, firewall, security group, network security group in an Azure. Okay, everything is available in cloud. These are some of the important services I have listed here in cloud. Okay, and now coming back to important concept of today's demo, DevOps. So basically, what is DevOps? Before getting into DevOps, first we should know what is SDLC. Okay, uh, in cloud, if you guys have any questions, you can ask me. I just gave you a brief introduction, but if you have any questions, you can ask me now. Is there any questions? Shall I proceed?
Hey, Prabhu,
Yes.
hi.
Yeah.
This is Rohit here. I have a question. So,
Yeah.
what is the prerequisite? Are you expecting us to know any background about this? This is for, freshers. This is for experienced professional. What is the course content designed for?
No, anybody can learn. We design this course content in such a way that even a fresher can learn this course. Okay, there is no mandatory prerequisites like you must have a good experience in infrastructure or as a developer, no need for any experiences. And one more thing, probably many of you, even when I started my career in this, okay, because basically I'm like into more into infrastructure management side, I was not into coding. Many of you may have doubts whether you need to learn any coding languages or something like that, but you don't need. Okay, here of course we will be using something, but that is a very easy one like JSON or YAML only we are going to use. So as beginner, anybody can learn this course. There is no restriction or there's no specific prerequisites for this. If you have knowledge about infrastructure, then it is well and good. That is, that's it.
Okay. And see, we have in our organization we are using some other cloud services, so we are aware about these basic services which we'll be using. Do you have
Mhm.
any do you support for creating projects or something like that, or that
Yeah,
we'll have to do it?
we'll be showing. Yeah, sorry, we'll be showing the live projects to you in this course itself. Will be I'll be showing demo on projects, and as well as like we can also support you. Not an issue.
Okay.
Hi, Prabhu. This is
Yeah,
are you able to hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Prabhu,
can
I
hear.
have a basic understanding of Azure cloud administration part,
Hmm.
but I'm not sure about DevOps because I'm getting stuck on this aspects. The main aspect is I'm looking for this courses because I can able to create a VM in a portal, but for example, if we want to create a 100 VMs or else because when we are going for a live organization environment, we are not using the portal as much as possible, right? Mainly we are using
Yes,
DevOps. Is that my
yes.
understanding is correct? So that if I join in this one, how I can able to grab those things? I want to know those details.
Sure. Okay. To address your issue, just I'm going out of this presentation for a moment. I hope now you can see my full screen, right? My system's full
Yes, yes,
screen
yes.
is available, right? Okay, fine. So the screen, what you're seeing now is like Azure Portal. Okay, this is Azure Portal. So basically, we are going to work in this portal for understanding the services. As a beginner, okay, anyone new to cloud, obviously, this portal is the best way to learn the resources, type of resources, and what are the properties it needs. Okay, the configurations, all these things we are going to learn in this. Okay, because anyone who comes into cloud environment first, this is the best way to learn. But in actual real-time environment, okay, most of the projects they will disable this portal. This portal will be available only for viewing the resources for monitoring. Okay, but how they will do, they will be using some like for deployment. I'm just showing an example. I think you can see the screen Visual Studio Code I'm using, right? This is a kind of scripts, okay, which is used to deploy the resources. Okay, by using scripts only we will be deploying. And in this course, definitely this is an AWS template. Like this we have Azure also. Okay, Azure ARM template is also available. In when it comes to DevOps, we are going to run everything through the script, the continuous integration, continuous delivery, probably you would have heard it, right? So we are going to do that only. So we will not be using this portal. Okay, rather we'll be using for writing the script, we'll be using this tool. For implementation, we'll be using Azure Pipeline or Jenkins. So we'll be deploying the resources by using a Terraform code or Azure ARM template. For that, this is the screen. Visual Studio is one of the editors. Okay, apart from that, there are so many editors. By using this, we can very easily create the scripts. Okay, the script is not a big deal. Okay, basically this is a YAML script, and I'll be teaching you the YAML from the scratch. Okay, don't worry about it. And when you're using this tool editors, it is going to be very easy. You don't have to write each and everything by your own. Okay, almost it will give you the template. What you have to do is you change the properties wherever you need. For example, I don't need this address, I want to change this. Okay, you can change this. Okay, I will teach you everything, how to create the script, how to deploy, because Terraform is also a part of our course. So obviously when it comes to Terraform, I'll show you how to deploy through scripts. It's like infrastructure as a code. I hope I addressed your
Yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah. I'm good. I'm good. Right now I'm getting clarity about this. Thanks, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, fine. So now I'm getting into DevOps. So before getting into DevOps, first we should know what is SDLC. So SDLC is nothing but software development life cycle. Okay, what is the software development life cycle? Okay, there are different stages when it comes to developing a software. A developer is going to develop a software, and in that life cycle, there are different stages. And these stages again, okay, this varies based on the projects, based on the client requests. Okay, this number of stages, it may vary. Okay, but what I'm showing here is the basic thing. Okay, so first they are going to get the information, they're going to gather the information from client. Okay, and then based on that they'll be designing. Okay, they'll be designing their, I'm sorry, I missed that slide, just a moment. Okay, so they'll be designing their software. Okay, and then development will happen. And once it is developed, they'll be testing it, and then deployment will be done, and further maintenance will be carried out. This is the SDLC, which is called a software development lifecycle. But the very important thing here is, okay, uh, developer alone is not going to play full role here. Developer is going to build, they are going to build applications. Of course they are going to play a vital role, they are going to uh, provide a very important block of this. Okay, but still the one concept is, I'm skipping some slides here for better understanding. Okay, okay, when a client comes, okay, usually there is a model called as Agile. It is a framework, it is a model. What happens here is, when an organization comes to developer and they want to build an application, okay, developer is going to have a clear understanding about the requirements, and they are going to build the software according to their requirements. Okay, they are going to plan, code, test, they will review everything. But the problem in agile model is, okay, there is no role for operations, there is no role for operations team. Actually, the guys, actual guys who is going to run those applications through the infrastructure, they are not going to have any clear picture. So agile model, of course, it is a part of our, it is a part and parcel of the complete process. But still agile alone cannot satisfy the needs. Okay, because it's a one way link between the client and developer. But it is the actually operations team is totally out of picture in this particular model, agile model. To enhance that, okay, in agile model, see, now you can see this presentation here. Developer is asking, okay, the information with the from client, and he'll be dealing with operations. But operations, when actually the operations teams are running those packages in infrastructure, they may fail, and operations team may not have a clear picture about what happened exactly. Okay, so DevOps is first and foremost thing. What you need to understand is, DevOps is not a single tool, DevOps is not a single technology. Rather, DevOps is a culture. DevOps is like, bringing developer and operations team together, so they can work, they can coordinate together. They will have a clear picture about the entire process. Okay, so agile model is enhanced with DevOps model. Okay, now we can say, so the entire process will be very crystal clear to everyone who is involved in the complete project. Okay, client requirements, based on client requirements, developer is going to develop the application, and they are going to test in their own environment. But when it comes to actual production environment, okay, we may face some issues, and those issues, okay, operations team is going to take care of that. Okay, but team needs to have a very clear picture about, the stage of development and testing, all those things. Okay, operations team must have a very clear picture. So DevOps, basically, it is a combination of multiple tools. As I said before, it is not a single tool, it is not a single process. Okay, it is a combination of process, it is a combination of multiple technologies, it is not a single technology, it is combination of multiple technologies. Okay, so to understand this better, first I'll explain what is monolithic service and what is microservice. The difference between monolithic and microservice I'll explain, and then I'll come to DevOps again. Okay, so when a software is built, uh, probably even before 6 or 7 years, okay, all the applications, they'll be running on monolithic architecture. So what is monolithic architecture? For example, um, a client has asked you for to build an e-commerce portal. Okay, an e-commerce portal is going to have different services. Like they'll be having inventory services where we can see the list of products, And if I select any product, okay, that will be moved to my shopping cart. Okay, for shopping cart we'll be having a separate services, separate APIs, separate database services. Okay, some separate services will be running for shopping cart alone. For inventory there will be separate services. And for payment, when I have to make a payment as an end user, for that a separate services. But the concept of monolithic architecture is everything is combined together as a single stack. That is the problem with monolithic architecture. Okay, everything, every services is combined into one big stack. Okay, so what are the drawbacks of monolithic services? Okay, so scalability means like for example, in inventory I want to list the number of products like a mobile phone or any other product. Okay, so for that, end of the day every service is going to use a compute. Okay, compute power, memory power, any hardware is going to run on a hardware obviously. Okay, for that, for performance, okay, I may have to increase the compute power or something like that. Okay, but the problem in monolithic, I cannot isolate that service, I cannot that isolate, or I cannot increase the scalability of that particular service alone. That is a big problem in monolithic architecture. I cannot touch. If anything happens to the service, if there is any bug, for that matter, okay, the developer is finding some bug in this software. Okay, he cannot isolate that particular part. Okay, the overall stack has to be stopped for identifying that particular issue, for troubleshooting that particular issue. Okay, that is the problem in the monolithic architecture. But when it comes to microservices, each and every services are isolated. They are not going to, even though they are combined, even though they are going to work together, but each and every services are isolated. For example, okay, when I'm configuring the same portal as a microservice, okay, every microservices is going to run in their own space, but still it is linked. Okay, if there is a problem in inventory, I can stop that service alone for a moment. Probably there's no need to stop, and for example I'm saying, okay, I can stop, I can troubleshoot that. Okay, I can solve that. For that I don't have to stop a shopping cart service or payment service or for any other service for that matter. Okay, every service is isolated, so I can handle that service alone. To be precise, every services, the complete software is broken to small packages. Okay, you can identify the issue in package and you can troubleshoot that particular package. This is what a microservice architecture. Now the complete DevOps environment is running in microservice architecture only, not in a monolithic architecture. Okay, but when it comes to DevOps, there are several tools. As I said, there are different stages involved in DevOps. I like to explain that. But do you have any or I can give you one more example. For sometimes, some of you may not have a good idea about applications or something like that. For that, I can give you a small example, like the difference between microservice and monolithic architecture. In your OS, okay, you are installing multiple applications, probably on a desktop or laptop. Okay, you may have many applications. All those applications might be using some shared library files. So what's the problem of that? Okay, when you're troubleshooting or when you're uninstalling some application, it may affect that library file which is shared with other applications too. Okay, while disturbing this application, it may have an impact on other applications also. Okay, that is what monolithic is all about. But instead of a VM, a virtual machine, or a single instance server, okay, when we configure that as a isolated service, containerization is what comes into picture. Now I'll give you a detailed explain about containerization, what is the difference between VM and containerization, all those concepts I'll explain it. Okay, don't worry about it, but I'm just giving you a small example. When I'm running those applications as a container, okay, every container is going to have its own library files, where any impact or any issue on one particular application is not going to disturb any other applications in that environment for that matter. Okay, so that is the advantage of microservice, and that is a difference, huge difference between monolithic and microservice. And nowadays in DevOps, we use microservice architecture only, we don't use monolithic. Okay, so any questions on this monolithic microservices architecture? So now these are the different stages of DevOps. Okay, planning, code, build, test, release, deploy. What I'm talking now is this picture is all about the open source DevOps, but the same thing, okay, Azure is going to provide. Azure is going to provide several tools, and also you can incorporate several tools, open source tools also into Azure. Okay, Azure is opening their portal for open source tools also. So when we are going to learn Azure DevOps, okay, we are going to learn some open source tool, very, very important open source tool, as well as how we are going to use the same tools in Azure. Okay, so basically in this picture, what I'm trying to explain here is when a developer developed an application, he is going to save that in the source code management like GitHub or Bitbucket. Okay, this is the place where a developer is going to save his application. Okay, by using that the source code, okay, it will be built, the application will be built by using tools like Maven is one of the important tool which is used to build the applications. Okay, and once the application is built, okay, the jar file or exe file, okay, that will be stored in artifactory. Okay, and here next operations team will come into picture till this area. Okay, SEM build artifactory, okay, developer is going to play an important role. Okay, obviously we will be having a clear picture about what is happening, but still the operations team is going to play an important role from this area deployment. Okay, and this we have to build the image with an OS because he developed an application, so for that we have to build an image. Okay, and that we are going to deploy through any deployment tool. As just now I showed you, like Terraform is one of the deployment tool. Okay, like that we have cloud formation in AWS and ARM template in Azure. We in our course I'll be showing both ARM template as well as Terraform. Okay, but Terraform I'm going to I'll be covering the main concepts of Terraform, but it is for better sake we have to learn about ARM template also. So I'll be showing both ARM template as well as Terraform. Okay, deployment tool. This is an infrastructure as a code tool. Okay, so when the application is developed, several microservices are going to run. For example, any application, at least it will have three tier segments like an application server or web server or database server. Apart from that, we are going to have a monitoring, log servers, multiple servers. To run all these services, we need a compute power, we need a memory. Okay, for that, most of the environment, most of the clients, what they prefer to do is instead of running this in their own infrastructure, they prefer to run this in cloud. Okay, but Terraform is going to deploy all the infrastructure. Okay, by running the scripts. We are going to run the Terraform script to deploy the infrastructure requirements in cloud or even in data center. Terraform is capable of doing it. Okay, anything. If you want to run Terraform in a VMware environment, yes, you can do it. If you want to run in Azure, yes, you can do it. You can, if you want to run in AWS, yes, you can do it. That's the advantage of Terraform. Okay, but if you are using an ARM template, it is used only with Azure. If you are using a cloud formation, it is used only for AWS. Okay, so there are certain limitations when you are going to cloud based product, but those limitations are not there when you are using a Terraform. So Terraform basically, it's a deployment tool, infrastructure as a core tool. Okay, and then we'll be using some configuration management tools. Okay, to make the configuration changes in the containers and pods. Okay, we'll be using some configuration management tools like Ansible, Chef, Puppet, kind of configuration management tools. And very importantly for containerization, because end of the day everything is going to run as a pod or container. Okay, for that we'll be using either Docker. Of course, Docker is the base product. Okay, and Kubernetes. Kubernetes here I shortly mentioned it as a K8s, but actually it is a Kubernetes. Kubernetes is an orchestration product. Okay, it is not a independent containerization product like Docker or Containerd or Rocket, something like that. Okay, you must have Docker or any other containerization product to run Kubernetes. Okay, but Kubernetes is one of the best orchestration product. Here in our class, okay, I'll be giving you introduction to Kubernetes, how to create pods management, how to create services in Kubernetes, all those things, as well as we'll be discussing how to run AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service, because when it comes to cloud, you don't have to build the basic infrastructure. You don't have to build VM. You don't have to create the clusters. You don't have to configure the clusters. All those things are not required. Azure will take care of everything. Simply, you can use Kubernetes as a service. Okay, this as a simple service, you can immediately launch or start running the services in Kubernetes. The basic configuration changes, what you have to do. That's it. The infrastructure, you don't need to worry about the infrastructure. Okay, so we'll be covering both infrastructure Kubernetes as well as Kubernetes in Azure as a service. Okay, and finally monitoring. But the complete pipeline is managed by Jenkins. The complete integration, all these tools are integrated. Okay, all these tools are integrated together, and at any given point of time, any stage, okay, you want to check what is the status in that, okay, what's happening exactly, how it is integrated, okay, everything is done by this Azure pipelines. When it comes to cloud, it is Azure pipeline who is going to take care of the CI/CD option. Okay, and Jenkins is an open source product, and there is something called as GitLab. GitLab is an enterprise product to take care of this pipeline integration. Okay, I'll be showing the Azure pipeline. I'll give more priority to Azure pipeline, but I'll try to show Jenkins also, because Jenkins knowledge is also very important. We are learning Azure, but still I'll be giving some brief information about AWS and GCP as well as the open source tools, because when you're attending some interview or when you're working in some environment, okay, most of the environment are going to be hybrid. It's not going to be purely on Azure. It's not going to be purely on AWS. Most of the environment, what they will do is some services they will work with Azure, some services they may launch in their own data center, some services they may offer other clouds also. So even though our concentration is mainly going to be on Azure, I'll be giving inputs about other things also, other cloud services as well as other integrations also. Okay, and when it comes to Azure DevOps, these are the important concepts we are going to learn. Here, the same thing, what you are going to see, what you are seeing here, okay? Build, Artifactory, deployment, configuration management, and containerization and monitoring. The same thing we can do with Azure DevOps, okay? Azure board pipelines, Azure repos, test plans, and artifacts, okay? All these things we'll be seeing each and everything separately. Okay, I'll be explaining each and every concept. I'll be comparing with open source as well as with Azure. Okay, of course Azure is open to open source. Some certain products you can implement certain open source products in Azure. For example, for that matter, Ansible, you want to implement Ansible, you want to build an Ansible environment in Azure, yes, it can be done. Okay, Azure is not limiting anything. Azure is open to all open sources products. Okay, so we are going to learn both open source as well as Azure, but my concentration is going to be more on Azure DevOps. Okay, just to make sure you have a clear understanding of the basics, I'll be talking about the open sources product also. Okay, but our main concentration will stick to Azure only, Azure DevOps only. Okay, so these are the concepts what we are going to see, and for that, the prerequisite is, as someone asked. Okay, sorry, I don't remember the name, but someone mentioned prerequisite is, if you have a basic knowledge about infrastructure, that is well and good. If you don't have also, it's not an issue. But when it comes to cloud, if you have knowledge about like network basics, IP subnetting, okay, those things are very important when it comes to cloud, because we have to create VPC VNets. Sorry, in Azure it is VNet. For that, you must have a good idea about IP addressing, IP subnetting, all those concepts. Okay, that will be very helpful when you're getting into it, because initial stages we'll be seeing about cloud. I'll be introducing you to cloud first, okay, and only then we'll be moving to DevOps. Okay, so for those areas, you must have a good idea about the basics of networking. Is that will do good. That is enough. Okay, so if you have a clear picture about that, or if you want to recap all those informations, yes, you can do it. And one thing is, all of you must have your own Azure accounts when we are practicing. Okay, I'll be using my account. I'll be showing to you, but when I want you to practice, or when I want you to share the screen, better create an account in Azure. When it comes to Azure, I'll show you one thing. Okay, DevOps is having a separate portal. This is my Azure service portal. Okay, where you can create any cloud services. But when it comes to DevOps, okay, DevOps portal is different from this portal. DevOps portal is different. Azure web portal is different. Okay, so we'll be working on this portal also, like my projects. Okay, we'll be seeing the projects. So in each and every project, okay, things what I mentioned, board repos pipelines. Mainly, we'll be working on this. At the end of this course, you know how to work with all these things. Okay, you'll be an expert. I can guarantee you that. Okay, you'll be an expert in Azure DevOps. Okay, DevOps as well as how to and the same in Azure. Okay, so Azure basic knowledge, if you have networking basic knowledge, that is more than enough. Got it? So now, if you have any questions, you can ask me.
What will be the timing for this course?
Timings you can discuss with management, and they will be giving you the time slots. And actually, the duration of the course. Okay, I can tell you one thing. I cannot finish in probably if you want a fast track or something like that. Probably for I need at least 2 to 3 months of time. Okay, your time. Okay, minimum 45 days, or it may extend up to 55 days also, 55 hours, 45 hours to 55 hours. So please make yourself available and concentrate. I want your complete concentration on this for next 2 months.
That's true. Once we complete this course, how much of experience we can put and we can search in for the market?
Uh, okay, learning the course is one part, but working in real time, obviously, okay, I'm not going to say you, okay, I'll make sure that you're good in all these concepts. Okay, you can answer all questions in interviews. Okay, that part I'll make sure you're doing it. Okay, I'll also show you some test projects which or real time projects which I'm working on. Okay, I'll give you the screenshot, even though I may not share you the live things, but still I can give you the screenshots, and I'll give you like what exactly how to do that in a real time project, how it looks like. Okay, all those inputs I'll give to you, so you can use that knowledge, okay, to make sure that you're clearing interviews in this field. Okay, but DevOps, obviously, for next if you want to survive in IT field for next 5 to 10 years, DevOps is very, very important. Cloud is like no, it's a basic now. Like probably 10 years back, Windows or Linux knowledge. And one more thing, sorry guys, I forgot to tell you one thing. Linux knowledge is very important, but don't worry about it, because the entire thing we are going to do most of the things in Linux. 90% it is Linux. Okay, so if you're new to Linux, don't worry about it. I'll show you from the basic, and I'm not going to teach you the complete Linux, because the Linux is something like an ocean. But whatever needed for DevOps, Azure DevOps, and for DevOps in particular, I will explain you all those things. Don't worry about that. Okay.
Prabhu, what
Prabhu,
are
I
the
have one
tools will be
question.
integrated for the project?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you properly.
Yeah. Am I audible now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
What are the tools will be integrated for the project like projects?
What are the courses?
Tool.
The
What are the tools will be, yeah, for the
Tools.
project?
Tools means like I'll be showing you the Azure itself, Azure pipelines, Azure repos, everything I'll be showing you. But apart from that, I'll try to show Bitbucket, GitLab, okay, and Ansible, obviously Terraform, okay, and Splunk. Um, I'll try to show at least, it depends on the project. Okay, right now I'm working on 3 projects. Okay, whatever tools available there, I'll show you, because all projects may not have all tools. Okay, based on the availability of that time, I'll show you the tools. But definitely, I'll cover the basic tools.
Okay.
Prabhu, in case if we miss any sessions, will you be providing this, recorded sessions for later use?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I think this is available. Yes, but that part, okay. Management side, they will Visualpath. They will take care of that. They'll be
Okay.
providing you the support.
And you
Okay.
will also cover that Kubernetes and also Docker, right?
Yes. I'll be covering both Docker as well as Kubernetes, and only then I move over to Azure ACS and AKS.
Okay, yeah, sure.
First, you should know how to build a Docker in a Linux VM, and then only how Docker is working and how to build an image. Docker file also is very, very important. So all this for that, I'll be using Docker. I'll be explaining you Docker first, and then only I'll be explaining you the Docker, the actual ACS, Azure Container Service. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you have
Before,
any course content kind of things so that for our
yeah,
reference?
they'll be sharing. Visualpath will be sharing the exact course content to you. Probably as soon as possible, they'll be sharing to you.
Okay, thanks,
Okay.
thanks.
So course content, presentations, and one more thing. For this demo class alone, I know I use this PPT, but in my classes, most of the time I may not be using the PPTs. It is going to be direct document references from the particular vendor. For example, if I'm taking you Docker, I may not be using any PPTs for Docker. Okay, whatever Docker documents available, okay, I'll be showing that. When I'm using Azure, when I'm showing you Azure, I'll be referring the Azure documents, Azure learn.azure.com, I'll be referring the documents directly provided by Azure or Docker or Kubernetes, because both DevOps and cloud is keep on evolving. It is continuously evolving. Some services may be available today, some services may not be available tomorrow. Okay, so that for that purpose, most of my classes will be on interactive sessions, and I'll be using the direct documents to refer, not the PPTs. I just want to make that point clear. But anyway, whatever PPT I'm using, I'll be sharing that to management, so they will be sharing that to you as well. Not an issue.
And one more
And
last
about
question,
to
and
practice,
yeah, you can go.
yeah, to practice these services, we will have to use our personal account, right? You won't be providing any portal access separate.
No, precisely. You have to use your personal account.
Okay, so the services which are paid, we will have to pay for that to our pocket, right?
Don't worry about that. I will show you on how to. I will be explaining the pricing plans, okay, and what are the
Okay,
free services and how to utilize it effectively. Not everything is free in cloud, okay. For some, you may have to pay for the features and for the. There are different price plans available. I will suggest you which price plan you should go for, and what are the services you should touch and you're not supposed to touch. That I'll explain when it come to that particular part. Okay, each and every
okay,
services when I'm explaining, I will tell you clearly. I'll give you a clear picture about that, so you need not worry about the pricing.
okay. And how long this training will be? Duration?
As I said, it will be like minimum 45 hours to 55 hours.
Okay. So
45
this
days to
is
55 days.
every
Yeah,
day
sorry.
same time,
Yeah,
right? Every day same time,
exactly. Exactly. Yes, yes.
10 a.m. Uh, I'm sorry. I mean, do you have any other batches scheduled for some other time? Maybe for weekends or evening times?
Maybe that part, we can discuss with Visualpath management. They will be explaining you the slots available,
Okay.
and so once they have a clear picture about that, the number of slots is running. So that part you can discuss with Michelle Park. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And before
Uh,
closing this session, yeah, please. Sorry. Yeah.
Prabhu, one more question. After completing this course, whether you will share some sample resume template to prepare for ourselves,
I'm sorry. Sample.
resume templates to
Sure.
modify our
Sure.
resume.
We will support. Yeah. Sure. Definitely, we will support. Yeah. I will. I will. I will share that to you. Not an issue.
Hi Prabhu, this is Dilip here. So in this syllabus section, I saw there is one section on PowerShell. So where is that coming into the picture in CI/CD pipeline or DevOps?
PowerShell.
Yeah, in the syllabus, I saw the syllabus which was shared to me that there is one
Okay.
section on PowerShell. So where is that coming into the picture in this whole
PowerShell
session?
comes into automation. Automation, you can use PowerShell too. Okay, for any automation configuration changes. Okay, open source available in Linux, but if you want to run it through Azure, PowerShell also available. So when I was planning I was planning like how to create resources by using PowerShells. I'll explain both Azure PowerShell as well as the Windows PowerShells. Yeah,
Okay,
automation
so
part.
basically, so we will be doing manual first, setting up everything, and the same we would automate using PowerShell, right?
Manually how to create the resources, I'll show you first, and then I'll show
Hmm.
you how to do the same by using automation tools.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, any other doubts or clarification needed, you can ask me.
What time is when is the training starting proper?
The date of the start date, I think Visual Path will be updating you when exactly the start date. They will be updating you
After
most probably.
completing the course, will you be able to take some 1 or 2 mock interview for us so that we will be get confident, right?
Sure, definitely I'll do that. Yeah, definitely. Most of the sessions are interactive sessions, so when I complete one particular class or particular demo, okay, obviously next day or I'll be asking, because you have to practice it regularly, because if you don't practice, if there is any backlog, then it will be difficult for you to understand the further classes when I'm proceeding. Okay, obviously it's going to be an interactive sessions. So I'll make sure that whoever attends, okay, we have a clear picture and you also practice. So I may ask you to share your screen and ask, but don't worry, I will not be doing that regularly. Probably once in a while, I'll do that. Okay, I may ask you to perform some tasks. Okay, so I'll give projects to you. So don't worry about it.
Okay, for
Okay.
some of us that are very new to this, after the whole training, is there any assistance in terms of resume adjustment or getting a job or something?
Uh, Job, definitely we can access. There are a lot of openings going on for DevOps, especially as your AWS DevOps. Okay, a lot of openings are there now. It is selling like hotcake. DevOps. Everybody knows that. In IT, it's going to be cloud. Cloud is going to be basic now. Then DevOps and some other specific domains are there, which is going to survive for a long time. Okay, so definitely we will assist you in how to create your resumes and how to attend the interviews, and even we may assistance we may provide. Obviously management will support you, as a trainer. I'll be giving the details to management also. I'll be sharing in my nearest locations, like whatever I have informations, I have whatever openings is there, I'll be sharing that to management, and through management you'll be getting all those informations. In my community, I've been part of a mini DevOps community, so whenever I get a message openings informations, I'll be sharing all these informations to management. Through them you will get that.